Welcome back. As you saw in the last installment of Alan's 1650, the continuing saga of a clutch that won't let go. Tore it apart. Of course, had the broken stud. And I've just got a couple of things I think are going on here. So I just got a brand new cover from Corvus Oliver. And I don't think that requires a core. I should probably call Mark and double check on that. I'm kind of wondering if something ain't machined right in there. That's making that when that lever goes, it's rocking that bolt, which would normally sit in there. The stud sits like that. The lever, there's a pin that goes through there. Springs fall on the floor, stuff like that. Anyways, there's a pin that goes through there. This is kind of a lock thing. And it pivots on it. And I'm kind of wondering if something wasn't quite right in this arm or the casting there and letting it pull in and out and slowly twisting that off. So here's a little, they'll have about the same amount of looseness in that hole. The last time it was out, we took it to the clutch shop I get my stuff done at, flywheel and everything. He surfaced the flywheel, redid the cover, told him put new ones of those in. They actually look like heavier ones than what was in there before, and it still broke. So like I say, maybe something's off in here. But the other thing I found was this still has the original clutch bolts. If you have the right ones, they have a shoulder on them. And so the bolt holes need to be countersunk because that shoulder goes through the clutch cover and into the flywheel a little bit to help keep everything centered up. And this one I've already done, and the top one there. But as you can see, like this one here, the threads are almost out to the outer edge. Now, you know, the flywheel or the clutch guy should have thought of that. And honestly, I should have too. Part of my job as a mechanic is to double check everybody else's work to make sure they did their job right. That's why we check clearances on bearings and engines and stuff like that. So we can point fingers all day, but the gist of it is that these bolts were torquing down, but they were hitting the threads. And so the clutch cover was close, but not tight to the flywheel. Which, let's see, let's get that in there. It gets down there a little bit. Not tight to the flywheel, so when you push on it, the cover can kind of do one of these things on those bolts that they weren't going to come loose because they were torqued down into the shoulder was hitting the threads and providing a torque that's going to keep them from coming loose. But it wasn't holding down on that cover quite enough, so I think that cover was kind of flexing each time it got used, and that would cause some stress on that bolt, and that's probably the most likely scenario. So what I did on these first two holes, got the old cordless drill, marked it with some tape, and I've just been drilling them out to the same depth, trying to keep them as close as possible for balance and all those good things. And then I'll chase it out with a tap to clean up the threads, and then you get like I had on that first bolt where it screwed in nice and the shoulder went in. So essentially this flywheel is probably getting towards the end of its service life. It can only get so thin. But the bolts ain't hitting the ring gear. So that's my assessment of what was going on. I would say the clutch guy missed it. I missed it. Not gonna miss it this time. Just trying to catch everything and So looking at those and see how close the threads were to the edge. And then you compare it to that there. To that there. You can see where there might be issues. Let's hope anyways. Much better. We're not replacing any bearings because it has so few hours on it since we did all that. And I use a old input shaft from I think this is a hydropower 3-speed, I don't know. I use an old input shaft. Mates with the bearing good, splines, keeps everything centered up. There it is. I'm gonna get a thing and measure the finger height just against the clutch disc to make sure they're even. They feel even there. Testing it this way, I'm not looking for a specific number. I'm just wanting to make sure they're all pretty much the same, so that they're all releasing at the same time. So I just try to hit the same surface. Boy, they're pretty much all close enough. I ain't gonna mess with it, because if this one was like closer, these two might start pushing, and the bearing can move just a little bit, but these two are higher. It'd start pushing those first, and so one side would pull up and the other side wouldn't, so then you'd get uneven wear and probably not the smoothest transition of stop and go. So I think I can live with that. We're just not gonna mess with it. Just double checking that mates up fine. You know, I didn't think to look at them bolt holes before, and we don't need repeats or new mistakes, new problems. I got plenty of old problems to, boy, I hope if I get that engaged in the fork right. I think the hydropower is ready to go back on. Well, it looks like I need to come down some. I don't remember changing it. That must have been high. Trying to get that started in, so maybe I do need to go back up. The other up. That's closer. There. That one is started. I'm sure I've talked about them before. These are just long 3/8 bolts with the heads cut off. They make good alignment pins. Oh, that's close. Oh, it's almost there. I can still turn this, so the splines ain't engaged yet. They're close. I can kind of feel them rubbing. There. I can't turn, I can only turn the sprocket one way, which is normal when everything's engaged. So we are getting engaged. Looks like the gap's pretty even top to bottom. Almost. Almost. Let's try this one here. Oh. There, yeah. Guide pin come out, bolt go in. Well, I do believe we are set to drop that baby back in. Guess I gotta pick up some tools over there, lift her up some, and do the deed. Oh, as is my tradition with clutch jobs, I like to check and make sure it's working before I drop it in. Because of the sprag clutch, this freewheels in the direction of the travel of the engine. So I can't turn it that way unless the clutch releases. We'll set you here. Here we go. It's releasing. And it's holding. Just can't want anything more. First thing I'm going to do is get the chain coupler on. I've actually got the engine slid ahead until it's up to the motor mounts on the bell housing and the frame. And that gets things forward an inch or so and can make the difference in getting enough room to get everything on here. Then I'll just lift the engine slightly, slide her back until the bolt holes line up and bolt the engine down. I didn't even undo these two cotter pins because I could push it back out. It's definitely important to have one long one in that goes between the two pins, because otherwise, if it's all short ones like this, all 4 holes, they can spin in their holes like this, and that grinds away at the pin and the link, and even wears at the cotter pin because they're bouncing around in there. And so always use that long one on one side. The other thing is to have the head towards the direction of rotation. So I think you can hopefully see that right there. Put the connector link on. You're saying, gee, Chris, that looks like the back side of your hand. If you're replacing these pins, use a good quality. Try to get a stainless steel pin. They'll hold up better. Or cotter pins, yeah, that's the word. Oh, I moved all the tools out of the way so I wouldn't bury them under an engine, and now I have no tools to shove that through. Hold on. There we go. And I brought over the needle nose pliers and then set them almost out of reach. It seemed like the right thing to do at the time. Well, let's just roll this around a little. Oh, maybe the screwdriver will be the best route. And maybe not. Let's put her in here. And there we go. Didn't take long at all. The one by the starter or under the starter is the 1/2-inch bolt. And under the injection pump is your dowel bolt. That one's going to go in a little tougher. And then it's the opposite corners on the opposite side to establish a plane. 1/2-inch bolt in the front, drops in nice, and 9/16. And the back hole, the rear hole, you know, that hole. Now for the fun part, getting the lock washers and nuts on. I've had people ask me, how do you get those bolts, nuts on and the lock washers on all by yourself? And the answer is, I usually get the lock washer, this is one for the grill, but get it up in there, and if you get it hanging a little crooked, it'll stay on there, and then carefully, sometimes it does that too. So it might take a couple tries, but, well, that'll turn up later. But that's what I do. It helps with having new lock washers. They grab a little better, and they lock a little better. Let's see if I can't get it done. Probably need the creeper for this, with this loader on here. That makes it a little extra challenging. Put the lock washer up in there. Get it to hang. And then ever so carefully drop the nut in your face. And ever so carefully put the nut on. The dowel corners are usually a little more forgiving because the bolts fit snugly in the hole. There, it started. That's all I really need. Then I can hold a wrench up there to hold it, and I'll hit it with an impact from the top. In theory. Oh, come on. I don't have to go back under there. You break your arm and bend it this way. And you probably didn't see that, but I got it on there. This one, there ain't enough room for the impact gun, but that's tight. See if I can get the wrench out from the bottom. Two down. Now that it's all hooked up, or bolted down, I guess would probably be the right term. Wow. Oh, that's right. I had tried adjusting the linkage just to see if I could get it to loosen up or release enough to get it in the shop. So that needs turned back. See how that is. Well, let's give her the ultimate test. I think we already know the answer. I can turn it this way with the clutch pedal up, push the pedal down, and I can turn it the other way. Oh, put a little more free pedal in it. That's not much. We want a little more than that. Plus there was enough room releasing it to have more than that. And that should be good. I think we solved the problem, at least until it breaks again. I think I like that. Enough free pedal to pull the throwout bearing away from the fingers. And it still releases when it's all the way down. It starts grabbing after just a little travel up. So I like it. Oh, that's for the loader. I bet this is for the... Let's give her the shaft. Here it's B. There we go. Start. Whoa, that was too easy. I have used up my luck, or I need to go play the lottery. I grabbed the wrong pair of snap pliers. Well, there we go. I guess that's a small price to pay. Come on, come on. Oh, get in there. I think it's seated well. I shall mess with it and mess it up. That went super easy. Well, might as well make a mess. Oops. Oh, look. The snap ring, or I'm sorry, the lock washer went rolling. Okay, moment of truth. Do a quick walk around and make sure I didn't forget anything. Neutral safety switch is connected. That's all hooked up. Throttle's hooked up. The engine shut off is hooked up. That's important. I put the coolant in. I never took any oil out. Wires, tack cable, wires, things, fuel tank. That's got a couple of gallons in it. Hopefully there ain't too much air in the system and I don't have to bleed things out. PTO shaft is in. I think she's ready to fire up. I think we know it's gonna work. The real proof will be how long it works. So let me take a key out of my pocket. I got the battery hooked up. And let's see what happens. Charging. It's charging heavy. I guess I didn't notice that before. Probably safely put the sheet metal back on. Might as well. Plows. Oh yeah. Well, this time I'll have to chain it up enough to lift it up to get the tractor in there. Probably. Might not have left it in the best spot. That ought to work. Nice place in the shade. Although it's kind of cool this morning, but it feels good. Whether the tandem hitch thingy will get in the way will yet to be determined. Hammer, punch. I got a pair of side cutters in my pocket. I think that should be everything we need to get her done. Guess you do it on a level surface, it's all going to line up. Or I better play that lottery. Well, I should have left a zipper on there somewhere. Hopefully this takes care of it. You said earlier, I don't think it was anything Alan was doing wrong. I think it was probably them bolt holes, not tightening the plate down properly, the cover. But it's done. One less monkey on my back, because there's another monkey that's about to come in this weekend. You'll get to see that in future videos. As always, I appreciate everybody watching, and I hope to see you in the next one. 2 Olivers, and go green.